With Roland's new TD-50X V-Drums kit, it's more effective than ever to play with brushes. However, it seems like Roland's wanted to keep this a secret, as it's hard to get information on this. So I'm making this video to reveal the secrets that I've discovered for making the best kit to play with brushes. Well, let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is brushes. Roland recommends nylon brushes like these. They've said since the beginning of V-Drums not to use metal brushes because they interfere with the metal sensors and they can damage the mesh heads. So these are the kind of brushes you want to use. These thin nylon brushes work good on the new drums because the mesh heads are very sensitive. Okay, the first thing that we got to do is the easy part, and that's make a kit work with brushes. We're going to start with a user kit, so we can start from scratch here. The first thing we do is press the menu button, and we scroll the page buttons until we get to where it says brush switch. We turn that on, go back to kit here, and we see that there's a symbol here on the right with the brush icon. Lets us know that kit's ready to play with brushes. Now the great part about this is that pretty much all the instrument sounds, or most of them, will respond correctly to playing with brushes. So we can play and start with the cymbals. They already sound pretty good right off the bat. Now you can use pretty much any cymbal sound that you want. I just as soon use these, the default ones. Okay, with brushes, most all the action for brush technique happens on the snare drum. So here we have the PD-140DS digital snare drum. If we have our default kit, we get a nice attack with the brush, but what we don't get is any sweeping effect. Now, if that was all we were going to get, I would not use this, but there is a way to do it. Just going to take a little bit of work. So let's dive in. First thing we do is we push the instrument button, and now you can go through the whole instrument list here of snare drums and not find the brush snare. It happens to be in a category of its own, way near the end here, just before the user sample area. We have category snare brush, and in that category we have two instruments, brush snare and brush snare rim. Now if we've got our head and rim locked, if we choose the brush snare, we'll automatically get the rim as well. So let's see what happens. Okay, now we're getting a sweeping sound, which is good, but we're not getting anything on the attack. Now I suspect this is actually not a sample, but probably a modeled sound. It doesn't behave or sound like a sample. So what do we do about the attack portion? Well, there's a very elegant solution for that, and that is we go to our sub instrument. Okay, to do that, we're in the instrument category here, and we page down till we get to sub instrument. Okay, now the button in the upper corner here turns it on. We definitely want to turn it on so we can hear what we're selecting here. And then we cursor over to the category. Here we go to our regular snare category. We can choose any snare we want. And there it is. So the beautiful thing about that is that we can go and get completely different snare sounds that work with brushes. Okay, so you're probably wondering, why can't we do the opposite? It would be so much easier, and instead of assigning the snare to the sub instrument, have it be the main instrument and assign the brush snare to the sub instrument, and that way we could more easily modify presets kits. Well, the problem is that the brush snare will not work in the sub instrument kit for technical reasons, so we have to do it the way I've described. Back to our user kit here. We have our sounds in place now. What we don't have is a good dynamic here. The sweeping sounds are too soft and the loud hits are too loud. So what do we do about that? We want to reduce the dynamic range. There's two ways we can go about that. Okay, first we'll go to the mixer section here. We'll press the mixer button and we'll use tab 3 here, F3, where it says minimum volume. Okay, we're actually not going to mess with minimum volume because that will cause false triggering. What we want is maximum volume. So we just simply move the cursor button up and we see the arrows go up to the top here where we can reduce it by -5. Okay, that's a good start, but it's not enough. So what do we do next? Well, still in the mixer page, we're going to page down till we get to the pad compressor. With the compressor, we can compress the dynamic range. And all we really have to mess with here is the threshold. I like putting the threshold down to about -30 something. Seems like it's way down there, but when we do the sweep, we can see the gain reduction is not triggering. But once we start playing hard, you can see a pretty good amount of gain reduction. You can adjust this to your taste. So now we can hear the sweeps pretty good and the hard hits are not too loud. So we've got that all taken care of. Okay, so the only thing left to do now is the tom-toms. Okay, any tom-toms, ones in the default, don't sound too bad, but there is special instruments for this, and they would also be towards the very, very end here in the instrument list. When the cursor to our categories here and scroll and scroll and scroll till just the last one before user samples, we get to the category tom brush. And in that category we have brush tom 12-inch and brush tom 14-inch. Those two sounds. Okay, so we're going to assign these two toms to the tom brush 12-inch. And we'll differentiate that with the tuning here. Tune this one here higher, this one lower. Okay, you can tune these however you want, of course. Okay, this one here we're going to assign to, we got to scroll way down here. This one we're going to select brush tom 14-inch. And now this last one, which the default is the Bird's Eye Maple 16, we're going to leave that so we get a little bit of variety. It still sounds pretty good with the brushes. Okay, we have our kit, but to make it extra realistic and extra good, you want to add some ambience. If we're using the user kit, there's no ambience. So we go press our ambience button, and the room we can turn on here with our F4 button. And we have our fader here where we can adjust the ambience level. And you can mess around with the settings here to get the sound that you want. But a little bit of room sound and direct mic sound can add a lot to the brush gig. And that's it. Thanks for watching.